Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name's Marissa, and today I am doing the first half of my September wrap-up. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is Docile by Szpara, and I have to say this book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I did listen to this one on audiobook. What can I say about this? This book is very, very graphic, like very, very graphic. Sex scenes, very graphic depictions of rape scenes. Basically, this whole book is about the future where people who are poor, they essentially inherit their ancestors' debt. So you can be dragged off to debtor's prison. So one of the big ways to work off your debt is to basically become a docile. You sell yourself, you sell your services, sexual services, physical labor services, you know, basically whatever these people want to do to you, you sell your services to the rich people. So we start off, we're following this gentleman who sells $3 million in debt to the guy whose family invented this drug for these dociles called Docile. And so these people who are on Docile essentially are like robots, automatons. They don't really know what's going on, and this drug really screwed up this guy's mother. So he decides that he is not going to take this Docile, which of course really pisses the guy off that he sold his services to because his family invented this drug. So they kind of have this little rivalry-ish thing going on. I'm not usually one to cringe at sex scenes, but in this one, I cringed quite a bit because it is very, very graphic. And I'm not talking about cringing at the rape scenes, which is cringy in and of itself. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it was very graphic. So if you don't like graphic sex scenes, you will not like this book. So anyway, I thought the premise of it was good. I thought the social commentary in this was really good. And I definitely think it's worth a read if you're not too squeamish on the sex scene thing. So the next set of books that I want to talk to you about was of course on my TBR, and that is the Mistborn original trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. These books, oh my god, they're so good. So good. I will say, I mean, these books, I think the first one is like 650 pages, then we get up to like 750 pages, and then the last book is like almost 800 pages. It's a lot. It is definitely a lot. So these books are essentially set on a planet, and this planet is covered in ash. The sun is red, the plants are brown and hardly edible, and they are ruled over by the Lord Ruler, who is basically a dictator, if you want to put it like that. So the first book kind of reminded me of Six of Crows, just because it was kind of like this ragtag group of people who essentially were trying to overthrow the government. And I mean, honestly, this first book, Brandon Sanderson could have left it off right there. Just left it up to our imagination and what happened. But every single new book was a new twist on things, and it was mind-blowing. I mean, you know, I will say that there is a lot of extra fluff, I guess, that goes on in these books. It's just a lot of world building. It's a lot of, you know, talking about things, the religions and the different races of people and the world itself. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of detail that goes into these, but that's what makes Brandon Sanderson such a storyteller. It's just, you feel so totally immersed in these worlds and these characters. I mean, you can't help but love them. And one of the things I love about this is he does not shy away from killing main characters at all. That's not a spoiler. I'm just telling you, he does not shy away from killing main characters. So nobody is safe in these books whatsoever, which makes for a really interesting story because I really felt the consequences of actions, and I was scared for the characters, which not very many books actually do that anymore. So these are amazing. So if you have not picked up the original Mistborn trilogy, please, for the love of God, do, because these are amazing. So the next book that I'm going to talk about is Majesty by Katherin McGee. This is the second book in the American Royals series, and I did listen to this one on audiobook also. I have to say this book is not what I thought it was going to be. It didn't go the direction that I thought it was going to go. It was interesting. So of course American Royals is about this alternative history in which instead of George Washington just getting a presidency, he got a crown, and now his descendants are sitting on the throne of the United States. So it definitely is a very romance heavy book. Not so hot on the politics, I guess. There's not a lot of politicking that goes on, even though you're following the royal family. It's more to do with the things that the royal family can and can't do, who they can and can't marry. You know, of course you have Beatrice, who is the future queen, who, you know, is the responsible one, the level-headed one, the one that her father took under her wing, or took under his wing. And then you have the younger brother and sister who are twins, and they're kind of the troublemakers of the family. And then you have, of course, the best friend of the sister, and there's a lot of love triangles going on in these books for sure. I definitely think the first book was much better than this one. I think that the story should be continued on from here, but I don't think that the story is going to be continued on from here, which is kind of disappointing. So I'd say this is just kind of a middle of the road book. The next one that I ended up listening to on audiobook was A Daughter of a Pirate King, and this is about, of course, pirates. And this pirate girl, her father is, of course, the pirate king, and then her mother is a siren. So she has these interesting powers of being a siren, where she can enchant men, she can make them do things for her. But essentially her siren side is kind of like evil. She doesn't really control what she's able to do. It's more like a wild base nature where she just doesn't have much consciousness, which was an interesting take on it. I thought this book was going to be more piratey than it was. I mean, it's set on a pirate ship. I get that, totally understand it, but it's not really piratey. It's more focused on the romance and the battle aspect of things than it is about anything else. So it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it was still interesting. I do think that Daughter of a Pirate King is definitely more of a middle of the road book. It's not as piratey as I wanted it to be, but it is kind of more like a YA book, so I guess you get what you get as far as that's concerned. So the last two books that I have read in the first half of September are, of course, The Alloy of Law and The Shadow of Self. This is books 4 and 5 in the, this is the second era Mistborn trilogy. This is set in the same world, just 300 years after the first trilogy is set, and these are kind of, they're more like a Western. Yeah, they're more like a Western. It's like a buddy cop thing. I've heard it described as kind of a buddy cop novel series. Yeah, buddy cop series. And I think that's definitely accurate. It's a little more light than the first Mistborn series of books are. These are a lot shorter also, but they're no less wonderful. I absolutely adore the stories. I adore the two main characters, which is Wax and Wayne, which I think is freaking hilarious. Right. So the main characters are essentially like these two buddy cops, and they are solving crimes and they're catching these bad guys. They're kind of like the sheriffs of the Wild West, where they were out kind of in the middle of nowhere, and you know, they were having shootouts with these outlaws, and then, you know, either killing them or arresting them. And then all of a sudden, Wax, which is one of the main characters, he's of course a nobleman, and he ends up getting dragged back into the world of politics in the city, and so Wayne follows him, and then they end up, you know, becoming lawmen in the city, which is a little more political, of course, than either one of them is bargaining for, and because they're in the city, they kind of have to follow the city's laws and the city's rules as far as that stuff goes. So it's definitely an interesting transition. You really don't get to see their time before that was out in the roughs, as they call it, which was kind of like the untamed Wild West. You see more of the city stuff, but you do get some flashbacks and some insight into, you know, where they were at before, which is interesting. I know that there is each book has its own little storyline, its own little bad guy, but then there is a theme woven into it that's kind of like the underlying or the bigger story to it, which is very interesting. I really am enjoying that part, and I'm enjoying seeing it move along. The only thing that kind of ticks me off is I'm reading the third book right now, and then I just found out that there is going to be a fourth book that Brandon Sanderson has not even started writing yet. Said it's going to come out maybe 2021, maybe 2022, so yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed because I thought that he was done with these books, but apparently not. So then I'm going to have to wait for that. But anyway, that's not too big of a deterrent, I suppose. So yeah, I guess that is all that I have for the first half of September. I still have, of course, the 6th book in the Mistborn series, and then I have the entire Daevabad trilogy to read in the second half of this month. And I also just got a brand new job, which I start on September 28th, so I'm trying to get most of my big reading done before then, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have after that point. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching my video. I upload every Wednesday and Saturday, and I would really love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe my videos. Have a great day.